I was informed by my boss that my coworkers would have to believe her if she accused me of anything. After she falsely accused me of say, I was let go from my work, turned down a fresh offer, and nearly gave up. Up until. At one point in my career I was a manager. To discuss her performance in private, I requested that a female employee who was not in a managerial position go into a separate room. I didn't want to put her in a bad light, but I also wanted to make sure that her faults were addressed while she was going through her divorce. I was thanked by her after she recognized it. Within the hour, security had removed me from my office and my manager had informed me that a sexual harassment complaint had been filed, and that I should be suspended in accordance with company policy. When I questioned about it, someone said that we should look into it. Not at this time. Assuming I was innocent, he said, the process wouldn't take long, and I'd get my money back for the time out. I inquired about the nature of the accusation once more, and was informed that I was not to be informed due to the ongoing investigation. However, I was assured that I would be notified if any questions arose. Despite my unhappiness, I departed from the premises assured that I had done nothing wrong. I got a message on my phone later that night saying my email password was wrong. I contacted my employer after 2 days to inquire about the status and was informed that he was unavailable, but that I may expect a response shortly. I tried calling every day and got the same answer. At long last, I got a letter informing me that I was fired for asking an employee for sexual favors and exposing myself. The girl I had escorted into the back room was one of the named employees. I contacted my supervisor right away, but I was informed that he is now unavailable and instructed to close the case. After being instructed to deactivate my accounts, the AITA guy messaged me on Facebook to inquire about what had transpired. He said, "You took her into the X room after I told him everything that had happened. Listen up, man, that place has a surveillance camera. We always have the camera turned on because we keep Y in there. Indeed, when he plays back the footage, I can be seen pointing to a stack of papers as I remain in my pants." I informed my boss in my message that the alleged event took place in a room that was monitored, and that I would be seeking legal representation and requesting the video record. His request that I join a phone conference with him in HR came 15 minutes after I returned his call. One conference is anticipated. You can't be too cautious in this day and age, and they lament that this didn't surface sooner. They have a zero-tolerance policy that they must implement, and they were unaware that it had taken place in a room with cameras. I'm already out of a job, and they can't give me another one, because firing my replacement would be unfair if she hadn't done anything wrong. Nevertheless, they've decided to compensate me throughout my suspension as a show of goodwill, amended my record to reflect my voluntary resignation, and to give me a solid reference. That was unacceptable, I said. They baselessly accused me, withheld facts I could have used to my advantage, ignored my calls, and botched their own investigation by not reviewing footage that would have cleared me right away. What do you think would be fair? They wanted to know. In addition to the offer, I informed them they either fire the employee who brought the accusation immediately and return my job or pay me 1 year's salary. Neither of those possibilities is practical, and my supervisor refused to consider another employee with me. What he has already proposed are the only choices I have. The only way I can avoid suing the corporation and the employee, I said, and that's why I offered those options. I signed a document when I was hired, my employer said, waiving my right to sue the company and agreeing to resolve any disagreements through arbitration. The agreement appears to state that I will submit any issues to arbitration, that I will pay for the arbitration, and that I will accept the arbitrator's judgment, but I don't recall signing it, and I haven't seen it. I will lose the money to pay for the arbitration, he said, and my chances of winning will be lower than what he has already promised. I feel like I'm being taken advantage of here, and I seriously doubt he would have set such a quick phone conference if he didn't believe the company was open to legal action. A handful of employment lawyers have not yet returned my calls. Is my case viable? Do you disagree with my assessment that this is unacceptable? Version 1. In the past several weeks, a lot has transpired. After I told my friend about what happened, he informed me that his company had an opportunity. After submitting my application and interview, I was summoned to the office. It was requested that I visit the office. The boss even ended by wanting to know my preferred name. I was notified by phone 2 days later that they had selected an alternate applicant. I knew my friend had taken heat for suggesting me since he told me so. It seems that HR had a connection to an employee from my previous employer and contacted them to inquire about my situation. According to the employee, he was let go due to a sexual assault incident involving a subordinate. In my opinion, he is actually facing criminal charges. I'm so upset that I'm actually crying right now. This is an endless nightmare. To make a long tale short, I contacted my previous employer after losing my shit. No boss would even pick up the phone to talk to me. Having an attorney write and send a demand letter was a smart move. at another scheduled phone conference. Again, they're sorry that an employee gave a reference that wasn't requested through the proper channels. The best approach to manage such demands was coached into the employee. My lawyer let them know that we will be filing a slander suit against them alongside our wrongful termination claim, since they cannot regulate the behavior of a single person who disobeyed corporate policy. They maintain that they have not violated any laws. There, we have reached a dead end, as I may choose to withdraw my support. The time has come for me to take this to court. They keep apologizing for all they've done to me, even though I attempted to be the good guy and go somewhere. But nothing changes. Oh no. Oops, I nearly forgot. They gave me a packet of paperwork a few days after my last post. Everything I need to sign an arbitration agreement, including standard non-disclosure notices, COBRA, and a blank copy. So, why is it a blank one? Evidently something went wrong. While I was hired, they weren't having anyone sign anything, and even while I was an employee, HR never attempted to get me to sign anything. There is no document they supplied me that I have not signed, including that agreement. My attorney warned me against allowing arbitration, unless they pay the costs and I get to decide who gets to be the arbitrator. I would want to provide more favorable news. Not everything is as bad as it first appeared, but neither is it easy to solve either. Despite your eagerness to hear, I am unable to comment on the situation with the employee who made the accusation at this time. Your guidance and encouragement thus far are greatly appreciated. I will do my best to keep you posted as soon as possible after everything is resolved, if not sooner. My lawyer had to give me the go-ahead before I could tell you guys anything, but now that everything is settled, I'm happy to fill you in. Therefore, let us begin at the very beginning. Deborah was one of my subordinates. I escorted her to a separate room to go over some of her errors, but I refrained from scolding her any further. Joyce, one of the supervisors above me who is not directly reporting to me, was the next stop after this. I am on the same reporting level as my supervisor. Joyce told Deborah it was unethical when she found out I had brought Deborah into another room without anybody else around. You could accuse him of being improper with you, and I would believe you. At least that's what her exact words said. There was a heavy focus on no choice throughout the multiple repetitions of this. By stating, "It will only happen again if you don't speak up now," Joyce proceeded to ask Deborah if I had been improper with her. "We can move forward if you do it now." I was put on leave pending an investigation when Deborah took Joyce's very direct hint and accused me of exposing myself to her. On receiving word that no one other than the secretary could contact me without my attorney present, Joyce promptly instructed Paul, the AITA man, to disable my account. Just before the office closed that day, Terry, an employee in Joyce's department, applied for my position, and James, my boss, had already received her resume. She was hired. I spoke with Paul, and he gave me video evidence that cleared my name. In its refusal to engage in conversation, the corporation persisted in stonewalling me. At that point, they tried to force me into arbitration and get me to sign a document that applied to both of us. I decided to just move on, get a new job, and cut my losses. My employment was jeopardized when Sandy, an employee in Joyce's department, went against company policy and informed human resources at my new employer that I had sexually attacked one of my subordinates. We are now up to date. Then, Deborah and the corporation were the targets of a legal lawsuit that my attorney and I filed. I bet you're asking how on earth I knew all of that. Good old Joyce promised Deborah protection if she came clean. Regrettably, that was limited to her employment. Companies informed her they would not be providing legal representation when she was identified personally in the lawsuit. She was quick to blame Joyce once she realized she would have to offer her home as collateral. As part of an archive cleanout, Joyce approached Paul, an IT specialist in one of her reports, and provided him with a list of video that needed to be procedurally erased. The event involving me, he said, was on that list and was being investigated at the moment. After Joyce assured him it was no longer necessary, he was free to wipe it. Given that it would still be asked for if the case went on, he declined. Since he was about to be fired for disobedience, she advised him to gather all of his belongings. To let the company's attorney know what had transpired, he phoned her. What follows? I will do my best to present the events in chronological order, as they occur simultaneously. The lawyer for Deborah reached out to me, saying that if I dropped the case, Deborah would confess to lying and explain what transpired behind the scenes. My attorney called the company's attorney, Dana, to relay the details received from Deborah, who had just finished discussing Paul's termination for refusing to erase evidence. The same day, Joyce and Deborah were fired for reasons. His work was assured to Paul. The corporation called my attorney and made it plain that they intended to settle the case before it went any further. What I will disclose is that I was offered my job back with a good increase. I won't go into detail about it, though. A public apology was extended from the highest level, and I was compensated for the time since my suspension began. Terry has taken over Joyce's previous role. Even though she usually keeps a level head, She was shocked to hear about what had transpired. James and I have made up, and he even took the time to personally apologize for his lack of support. This update is probably going to be my last one. I am not allowed to discuss this matter at length because there is still a legal dispute. Your constant words of encouragement and support mean the world to me. Thank you so much. Proceed to the next tale. The second story. I saw that my girlfriend was approaching a neighbor. I can tell you who has her number, but they apparently kissed already. Meanwhile, she'll be staying with him, and I'm leaving. 5 years have passed since my girlfriend and I started dating. We met in college and have been living together for about 3 years. We are both in our mid-20s. Our family had to relocate fast a little over 6 months ago. We are fortunate to have found a wonderful apartment in the city. It is on the pricier side, but we manage. Our neighbor Jenna lives almost across the hall, and my girlfriend and I met her a week after we moved in. The couple who reside there, Jenna and her boyfriend, are around our age, give or take a few years. Jenna and my girlfriend had become very close by the time December came to a close. My girlfriend and Jenna could have communicated every so often, but I wouldn't call them friends because they never did anything together other than invite us out to dinner. Her boyfriend Sam is a total jerk, but Jenna isn't bad enough. He is conceited and self-centered, and I find him repulsive. Even my fiancée didn't like him at first, according to her, but she warmed up to him in the end. They are in an open relationship, we found out later. It is truly none of my concern, even if I have never fully grasped the concept of an open relationship. In the end, it doesn't matter to me. What really gets under my skin is that I spotted Sam staring at my girlfriend. Jenna seems to be aware of it as well, and she seems uneasy about it. I was surprised that my girlfriend hadn't seen it first. My fiancé and I were walking home from dinner with a buddy around 2 months ago when we overheard their yelling at each other from their apartment. I preferred to keep quiet, but my partner insisted on knocking to make sure everything was all right. After Sam responded, he said that Jenna shoved him aside and sprinted off with a suitcase, claiming that the timing was poor. He tried to get her attention, but she simply told him to fuck off. Neither of them communicated with us for another 2 weeks. After my girlfriend contacted Jenna to see if she was all right, she heard nothing back. My girlfriend informed me about this following part. As she was returning from work, she caught Sam in the act of leaving and inquired about his well-being. He verified that Jenna had fully moved out and that they split up. My girlfriend dropped by his apartment the following day to check on him while I was at work. He filled her in on what had transpired. He cheated, and Jenna broke up with him. It's hardly relevant, but I figured some people might be intrigued. There must be more to the narrative than what Sam or my girlfriend told me. Nevertheless, I am unsure of the veracity of either of their statements. Since then, Sam and my girlfriend have been in constant contact via text message. I mentioned to her that I'm feeling uneasy about how near they've become. Since he is currently single, she feels awful for him, she added. I was disturbed that she felt sorry for him after I told her it was his fault for being unfaithful. She did agree to down the volume. But she didn't promise to ignore him entirely. Then I proceeded to ask 2 extremely foolish questions. First, if she felt any romantic interest in Sam. Since she has often assured me that I am physically and emotionally identical to her, and that we are very unlike, I honestly thought she would say no. According to her, that's an unfair inquiry. She claimed it shouldn't be a problem that she finds other men appealing and responded, surely I'm attracted to other women when I questioned her about it. I agreed, but I clarified that it changes when the perpetrator is a man who has been repeatedly fucking her. Once she stopped talking, I interpreted it as a yes. Additionally, I interpreted it as a sign that she was aware of his admiring glances at her. Secondly, if she could sleep with him without feeling guilty, would she take advantage of the opportunity? Again, she claimed that I am being unfair since I will be furious, even if she has permission to do it if she says yes. Yes, that's correct, that's my answer. We remained silent for some time thereafter until she received a text message. I questioned who it was because she glanced at the message before averting her eyes. My obvious frustration was magnified when she remained silent. I gathered a bag to store my clothes and began making my way to our bedroom. Claiming they're only buddies, she trailed behind me. I politely requested that she reveal her phone to me. I could see she was hesitant since she hesitated before saying yes. Telling her I needed to go for a little to collect my thoughts, I snatched my laptop and bag. I told her I needed some time to think about it before leaving, and she wanted to know what it meant. Because of that, I am in this position. As I sit here in my hotel room, I can't help but ponder who is to blame for the current state of my relationship, she, myself, or even both of us. Version 1, June 23, 2024. I just wanted to say that I was surprised by how quickly this went viral. I appreciate all the kind feedback and personal messages, even though I didn't reply to each one. Many people told me I was very mistaken for not checking her phone, for not confronting him, and for not getting out of there after our argument. I suppose it's clear now, but I really didn't want to be there anymore. Jenna was contacted by me. She said that she and Sam were in an open relationship, but that it was one-sided and had been successful for a long time before it fizzled out. She claimed that after our first dinner invitation, she informed Sam that my girlfriend was off limits. Subsequently, she verified returning home and witnessing their passionate kiss. Additionally, she mentioned that this is not his first rule violation. She expressed her regret for the delay in informing me, but clarified that her goal is to move on from him. Moreover, she specifically requested that I not get in touch with her ever again. After that, I gave my sister a call. She was the one who directed me to Jenna's social media accounts, and we discussed the possibility of my returning home for a break to collect my thoughts. What I find when I arrive home will determine it completely, as I mentioned before. If it had been a kiss, I could have forgiven. Our apartment was deserted when I returned last night. How unsurprised I was that she wasn't present was surprising. Grasping a deep breath, I set my belongings down and made my way to his place. My focus shifted to her the second he spoke, and I pounded on the door to make it wider. I pushed past him into his flat. After asking if we could speak alone, she remained motionless and stared at him. "Come in and close the door," he said with a hint of sarcasm. "Yes, I am aware of the kiss," I informed them. He didn't appear astonished, but she did. After that, he mentioned that you spoke with Jenna. I confirmed that she had informed me everything. The speaker expressed skepticism about that. He confessed to breaking the boundaries of their relationship, but he also acknowledged that Jenna isn't perfect. I brought up the fact that he had cheated on Jenna previously. I told him she seemed like a nice person, but he insisted I don't know her because they were an extremely toxic couple for 7 years. He said he knew her better than anyone. I stated my disbelief in his claims. When my girlfriend texted Jenna to see if she was all right and to attempt an apology, Jenna allegedly sent her really unpleasant messages. So I shrugged and asked. To be outraged was quite within her rights. Sam defended her right away, telling Paige, "Look, I didn't teach her the rules of our relationship, so she could have thought that kiss was between us after a minute of silence." I texted my girlfriend to find out how long it took for her to return to his door. She informed me that I abandoned her and was uncertain about my return to the relationship. I decided not to pursue it further since I knew I would not receive an honest response, even though it still did not address my question. I didn't feel the need to inquire about their sleeping habits because he was clad in sweatpants and she in her panties and a t-shirt. I informed her that I'm going to be returning home and that I plan to notify our landlord via email that I am terminating the lease and that she will be taking full ownership of the property. Then I left. When she expressed financial concerns, I told her it didn't matter to me. Then I departed, because she lives 9 hours away. My sister will have to wait until either tomorrow or Tuesday to come collect me, but she is already in the process of arranging plans. At least I'll have more time to pack. Staying here for a day or two isn't exactly something I'm looking forward to. The knowledge that she's across the hall getting fucked by another man isn't wonderful, and I can't afford to pay for the hotel again, but I can't turn off my feelings for her either. At the moment, I am unsure about my emotional state. I went through a cycle of fury, despair, anger, and now I'm just numb. Thus, that concludes it. The question of how we arrived at this point arises once more. Even though we had our share of problems and imperfections in our relationship, I never imagined we'd